Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I'm excited to do because it has been highly requested that I do an updated makeup brush video. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 20 makeup brushes. I have face brushes, I have eye brushes, and out of my extremely large brush collection, these are my top 20 picks that I think you need to just have an excellent brush collection. And technically, it's 21. I know, I do this so often, but I was like, what's one more? Makeup brushes are great. Some of them are kind of small. Let's just go ahead and go with 21. So again, these are my top favorite makeup brushes. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, I did want to say that I did film this look for my Instagram, so it will be going up over there. It's actually a two-parter because I'm trying out Nabla Cosmetics. I used their new Side to Side palette on my eyes, and then I also tried some of their face and lip products. So my Instagram is March Beauty Word. If you're not following me yet over there, you definitely should be, because my 12 days of giveaways have kicked off, which means there is a new giveaway and a new prize box to win every single day in my Instagram stories. So I will have that linked in my description box. I'm also doing daily videos through the 12th on my YouTube channel. So there have been videos going up every day. You're getting a lot of content from me through the 12th to kind of go along with my 12 days of giveaways on my Instagram, but I'm also doing a weekly giveaway in my YouTube videos, and the giveaway for this week went up in my top 10 Sephora purchases. So I can link that one up in the cards. If you haven't seen it yet, there is a giveaway in that video. Okay, so I asked recently, I can't remember which video it was in, but I was talking about makeup brushes, and I said, would you guys want to see an updated makeup brush video? The last time I did a brush favorites was at the end of 2019, and so many of the comments were saying yes to the brush video. I was like, okay, I cannot put this off any longer. I must do an updated brush video. And I thought it would be fun to do my top 20. I actually have some top 20 videos that's going to be coming up as kind of like my top 20 in 2020. So this is kind of going to be the start of it, but you'll see some other categories from me in this top 20 series. See that I have a few main brands that I am featuring in this video. I definitely have a handful of favorite brush brands that I just go back to all the time. I have multiples of their brushes, multiples of these favorite brushes that I'm going to mention, and just brands that I would highly recommend. And so I'm just going to start it off with foundation and kind of move from there. But one brand is a newer brand, but ever since I started trying their brushes, which actually was in 2020, so impressed. I've gone on to make multiple orders. I have a lot of doubles of their brushes, and you're going to see them mentioned multiple times in here, and that is BK Beauty. BK Beauty was started by Lisa J Makeup. She has a YouTube channel here. She is such a positive and inspiring YouTuber to watch, and seeing her start BK Beauty and start with brushes, and then they have moved on to, they just released an eyeshadow palette recently. I know the brand is growing and expanding, and nothing makes me happier than to see something like that. But I really, if you haven't tried out BK Beauty, you definitely should. I'm going to link all of these brushes down below, but one that I really love for foundation is the 101. Now when it comes to foundation, I generally like to apply with a sponge. It's just kind of my favorite. BK Beauty also does have a really great sponge, but there are certain times where I really do want to brush, especially if I'm using something that's a little bit more of a lighter coverage and maybe I want a little bit more coverage that day. I find using a brush helps with that. Also, if I have a foundation that's a little bit more liquidy, sometimes I like to use a brush. A lot of you know that one of my favorite foundations is the Pat McGrath Sublime Foundation. That one is very liquidy, and I tend to like to use a brush with that one. And the 101 quickly became a favorite of mine from the line, and I know this is like a best-selling brush for them. It sells out quite a bit. I hope that it's going to be in stock when this video goes up. It is streak-free. It just blends everything in so nicely, it's so quickly. Even though it's not an overly large brush, I still think it gets the job done really quickly. You have the slant on here. It is a very firm brush, and just the way it applies foundation is so beautiful, so highly recommend the 101. Moving over to a concealer brush. This brush has been mentioned in my favorite brushes videos for years. I still talk about it. It's so funny because sometimes I'll post, you know, Instagram videos and people will be like, what is that brush that you used for your concealer? It's the Sephora 57. If you haven't tried this brush yet, just please go get it. The Sephora collection brushes are actually really nice. I have another one that I'm going to feature in here. I actually just talked about two brushes in my top 10 Sephora purchases video that I posted recently. Sephora collection brushes are really, really nice. They've had a revamp in 2020 also. Some of like the handles are a little bit different and the bristles are a little bit different, but I've tried those two. I still would highly recommend them. The 57 is such a nice brush for blending out concealer. I like that it's small without being too small. Like, it's going to take a ton of time for me to blend out concealer, but it's not too big that when I am blending it out, it's still going to go in the spot where I want the concealer to be. It's not just going to be like all over my face, you know? Hate when that happens. It's like magical on the under eyes. Again, I've been recommending this for years, and truly this is the same brush that I purchased. There's been a couple times where I thought I should purchase another brush to replace it, and I'm like, why? Even with how many times I've washed this, it's in excellent condition. Again, don't sleep on the Sephora collection brushes. Real Techniques also has some of my favorite brushes. These are more affordable. You can find them at Ulta, you can find them at Target, you can find them at Walmart, and they also come out with a lot of really good sets. A lot of times when I'm purchasing Real Techniques brushes, I'm purchasing them in their sets. So I have a couple individuals that I'm going to name off, but I think actually the two that I have in here might be in a set together. If I can find that one, I will link it. But again, you're gonna find a lot of their sets available. So this is what I like to use for applying face powder. It's actually what I used today. This is called, oh, this is actually their blush brush. This, again, brushes, you can kind of do whatever you want with brushes. This for me is not my particular favorite type of brush to apply blush. You will see what that is when I mentioned the blush brush, but I like a brush like this for applying powder because, again, I can apply it on my under eyes and kind of hit like a larger area here, or I can buff it all over my face. I just feel like I can lightly kind of tap the powder all over my skin. This is one that I go back to so often, and again, I used it today. The blush brush from Real Techniques. I love it personally for a powder brush. Another one, it's kind of funny that these are in the same category, but this is what I really like specifically for applying powder to my under eyes. This is from Real Techniques. Again, I believe these came in the same set together, and I think this one is called the setting brush. Yes. So you can see that this one is smaller, but it's really similar to the larger brush, except it's just a lot smaller. But this is what I like if, you know, maybe I'm just dipping into some pressed powder and I want to apply that to my under eyes, or maybe just a little bit to my forehead or my nose or something like that. But I'm not going to use this brush all over my face. That's what I'm going to use the larger brush for. But this just like hits the under eyes so well. I use this one all the time too, so one of my favorites. You're gonna hear that so much in this video. You've heard me mention several times in favorite brush videos is my contour brush, and this is from Moda brushes, specifically their Moda Metallics line. I'm a big fan of Moda brushes. I've used them and recommended them for a very long time. Again, they are more affordable. I do also have an affiliate code with them. Okay, I think this is the only one so far I've had an affiliate code with, but I will put all of that in the description box also. But if you are interested in purchasing from the Moda website, and I think they have a ton of deals going on in December, my affiliate code is Samantha to use on the website. The Metallics line in particular is my favorite. It's just what I keep going back to. And this is simply called their contour brush. So I like that it's pretty small. I feel like I can just get right up in here and just contour the cheekbones. I can even use this to nose contour. It's a little bit larger, but honestly, I don't nose contour a lot. I don't have a specific brush to mention that I'm like, this is my nose contour brush, but I still think that it's small enough that I could do that if I wanted to. But I've been using this contour brush for years. Bronzer brushes was kind of hysterical. At one point I had 4, then I narrowed it down to 3, and then I was already at like 23 or 24 brushes, and I was really trying to get to 20, and I was like, you probably don't have to have 3 or 4 bronzer brushes, like narrow it down to your top 2. So these are my top 2 bronzer brushes, and it was really hard to choose, okay? But another one that I have from BK Beauty, this is their 103. Either 2 or 3 of the 103 brushes. Such a good bronzer brush. I think that this is actually considered a bronzer brush, but again, brushes, you can do whatever. It's makeup. You can do whatever you want, okay? I mean, like, I was trying something new today. This is definitely my better eye. This eye, not so good, but that's why we have a lot of hair over here. See what I did there? I also was gonna curl my hair, had my curling iron plugged in and everything, but I felt very 90s with like the cool tone eye and then the more like darker lip with the darker lip liner, and I was like, 90s hair? I think of like straight hair, right? So that's what I was doing today. But anyways, back to the bronzer brush. This just applies bronzer so effortlessly, so smoothly. Like no matter what bronzer it is I'm using, I feel like if I'm using this 103 brush, things are gonna go well for me. And I love when I have a good bronzer day. Another brand that I'm mentioning in here is Rephr brushes. I have been really impressed with them since I started using them in, I believe it was 2019, and I'm trying to think of when they came out because I think it was either 2018 or 2019. Now I can't quite remember, But I've been able to try a lot of their brushes and they have some really fantastic quality. These are natural hair brushes, but the 22 is one of my favorite bronzer brushes. And this is another one that when I show me applying bronzer like in an Instagram tutorial and I'm using this brush, people are like, what is that bronzer brush? And it is the Rephr 22. It's a Big Daddy. I like my Big Daddy bronzer brushes. This is not my biggest bronzer brush, but again, I was trying to narrow it down to my top two that they're pretty similar in like style and shape, but the Rephr is a little bit bigger. These are really similar. You can see why I both enjoy them for bronzer, but the Rephr brushes have really great quality too. You're gonna see a few more brushes from them mentioned. All right, moving over to blush. It was really hard to narrow down a favorite blush brush. I love angle brushes for blush. It's been my favorite like forever. A lot of these are often considered contour brushes, but this is the shape that I personally love for blush, and we're all going to be different, but again, just me, this like an angle brush is what I like. This one is from Rephr once again. This is their 04 brush. I like this because out of all of my blush brushes, this one is actually the smallest, and I like that because even today I didn't use, what did I use for blush today? I don't remember. It'll be in the Instagram tutorial, but I almost feel like sometimes I just feel like I can go a little bit too hard or too heavy with my blush, especially if I'm using a little bit of a bigger brush. So that's why I really like to use this one from Rephr. I feel like it's smaller and I can just place the blush exactly where I want it. But once again, these are such good quality. They're so soft on the face and they're just so good at blending out pigment. The 04, I need another one of these brushes. I don't know why I only have one. I did not narrow it down to one blush brush. I actually put in two, and I remember my thought plan was because out of all of my blush brushes, like most of them are that angle brush, but this one is actually a little bit different. Another brand that I wanted to mention in here that have really great brushes is EcoTools. EcoTools has some sneaky good brushes. I believe this one came in a set, but I think they have like one big set and then they have smaller ones. And you know what? I thought I had another one from EcoTools in here. They also have a really nice setting brush for the under eyes. But again, I decided to leave in the blush brush to have a little bit of a variety in case you don't enjoy the angle brushes for blush. I remember what I was doing now. This one, yes, this is the Precision Blush Brush. Sometimes I just get really happy when when they match, you know what I'm saying? Even though again, you don't have to, but they're precision blush. So again, if you like those angle brushes more for contour or bronzer or just something else and you want something different for blush, this is also a good shape. Again, it's a little bit larger, you know, especially than the Rephr 04, but I think it does a really good job applying blush too. They have one that's just a little bit bigger. It's really similar to this. It's just a little bit bigger. And I also really like that one for bronzer, but again, it was in my top 4, but I was like, okay, let's get it together. But again, EcoTools has really good brushes. I would definitely recommend to check them out. They're more affordable. They're at Target, they're at Walmart. I'm not sure if they're at Ulta, but they got some good ones too. Right, I have 2 more face brushes before we move over to eye brushes. My favorite highlight brush, this is from Sigma Beauty. Have I mentioned a Sigma brush yet? I don't think I've mentioned Sigma yet, but I have quite a few of their eye brushes that I really do enjoy. But Sigma Beauty is a brand that I have loved. I've bought their brushes since before I even had my own YouTube channel, and I was just a casual beauty watcher, and their brushes are amazing. They're fantastic quality. They have warranties on them. They're just great brushes. Again, I do have an affiliate code with Sigma, which is Samantha, so if you're purchasing anything from them, you can use that code to save some money. But this highlight brush has been a favorite of mine for years. Once again, this is their high cheekbone highlighter, the Fo3 brush. This just does something for highlight. It's so beautiful. I have like, I think it's an embarrassing number of the Fo3 brushes I have, because I think I have like 5 or 6. And in my defense, I have purchased a few, but I've also gotten some in PR. But I've had that thought of like, I could probably give some away or gift some, and then I'm like, but I love the Fo3. So I have more than these than I probably need, but it's such a good brush. If you haven't tried the Fo3 yet for highlighting, highly recommend. Right, and then the last face brush, I kind of debated kicking this one out. I don't know, it's not a makeup technique, I guess, maybe that I use a ton. Like, do I really have to mention this? But I was like, think about other people than yourself, Samantha. Hello? No, I'm just kidding. But this is what I actually like to use for cream products. I know. This is from Colourpop. Okay, I think this is the only Colourpop brush that I have. I'm fairly new to trying out Colourpop brushes, so I didn't there wasn't really a ton that I thought to even put in the video, but again, I'm pretty new at trying their brushes, but I do really like this one for cream products. This one is a duo fiber brush. I do like duo fiber for cream products. Again, I don't have a ton of them. Sigma did just come out with some new ones that I do think are really nice. They're air brushes, but I haven't tried them as long as I've been trying this one from Colourpop, so this is the one that I decided to go for, and this is their F4. I feel like it kind of grips onto the cream product a little bit better to help blend it out and kind of like buff it into the skin. Again, I've definitely used cream products more in 2020 than I did in 2019, and this is just kind of that one that I go back to a lot. I can use it for contour, for bronzer, for blush. It would probably be nice to have multiples of these, because sometimes if I use it for my bronzer, then I don't want to go and use it for my blush. But the F4 from Colourpop, I think it's a really good duo fiber. Okay, moving over to my eye brushes. This was a lot harder than my face brushes to narrow down. So I have 4 different blending brushes to share with you. And I mean, they're all a different size, a different shape, but having a variety of blending brushes, I think, can really help your makeup game for sure. So this is one of my favorite eye brushes because I feel like it's so versatile. If you do not have the Sigma E44 Firm Blender, I highly, highly, highly recommend this one. I have like maybe 4 of these or something, which again, I have multiple makeup brushes and I try not to feel too guilty because sometimes it can take me a while to clean my brushes. You know how it is. But the E44 is one that I reach for in so many makeup looks because it's a little bit of a larger brush, but it does come to more of this dome top. I find it really easy to place pigment where I want it and then be able to blend it out. Sometimes with just a bigger blending brush, like kind of like your flat blending brush, it's kind of harder for me to be a little bit more precise with where I'm putting my pigment and then blending it out. Like, it's just really good at the blending part. This to me is like a 2-part brush, and that just makes me reach for it so often. Again, Sigma has amazing quality brushes. Really, their eye brushes are what I go to, like, again. I have multiples of their eye brushes. I think it's great. So the E44, highly recommend. Another one from BK Beauty. This one is the 202. I think I only have 2 of the 202 brushes, and I need at least 2 more of these, okay? I need at least 2 more of these. So again, I'll be doing some close-ups of the brushes too, so you can get a better idea. But you can see that with the E44, this one is a little bit more of that dome shape, whereas the 202 is just kind of that flared blending brush. But again, just like with our face brushes, the eye brushes are super soft. Just the quality of the bristles in here make it so easy to take any pigment and just blend it so smoothly on the eye. A little bit bigger, so I like to use this for like really blending the shadows into my crease, not being like so precise with this one, even though I think it's, you know, it's okay to be able to do that, but I really like this one for like just my blending. I think this is such a good brush, the 202. Definitely feel like you need that one. And I really try not to say like you need that, because it's like, do you really? But the 202, I'm like, so nice. And then a smaller blending brush. This one is also from the Sephora collection, and this is their 24. So again, I mentioned this in my top 10 Sephora purchases. I really enjoy how small this is, but it's your blending brush at the same time. It's a good one that you can really get right in your crease and blend it out because it's so small. I mean, you can use it on your lower lash line too. Again, Sephora collection brushes, so good. But the 24, if you're looking for that smaller blending brush, highly recommend this one. And then an even smaller one than that, actually, this is also from Sigma. This is their E42, their Precision Firm Blender. So the E44 is their firm blender, but then we have the, which is at the 42, which is the Precision. So that obviously means that it's going to be a lot smaller. So you can see that honestly, I don't even really feel like the shape is all that similar to this one, and then the E42 is going to be a lot smaller. Once again, this is going to be really nice, especially if you're doing crease work like what I was doing today. This is really good to be able to draw that on. You can use this on the lower lash line, and it's a little bit bigger, so especially if you wanted to blend out shadow on the lower lash line, it's kind of like an oversized pencil brush, which if that's what you're going for, you're like really smoking out the lower lash line, this could be a good one. But again, especially for crease work, this is a great one. All right, and then stepping away from blending, going into like eye shader brushes. Again, these two are from Sigma Beauty, and these are just my favorites. The E54, the medium sweeper, this has been mentioned in pretty much every single one of my brush videos. It's just, you know, it's a smaller brush. It applies shadows onto the lid so easily. Just a brush that I have multiples of. I've used it for years. You've heard me say the E54 over and over and over and over again, but it's just great for placing shadows onto the lid. And then also from Sigma Beauty, their cream color E58. The E54 I like for like the quote unquote regular shadows, if you will. And then the E58 is good for like satin shades or like, not your pressed glitters, but just something, if I have a shade that I really want to get a lot of oomph out of, this is the one that I tend to go for over the E54. The brush just helps like bring out, like it says it's good for cream color, like I feel like that makes sense then, but it's just so good at bringing out those shadows. But these are my top two lid brushes, and they have been for such a long time. And then moving over to our smaller brushes, like the little detail brushes here. Another one that I've recommended for years from Sigma Beauty, this is their pencil brush, the E30. So again, this is gonna be great for the lower lash line. Honestly, if you are, you know, trying to build your brush collection, or you're really starting to get into makeup brushes, if you do not have a pencil brush, get a pencil brush. I say that because I did not buy a pencil brush for a very, very long time. I don't really know how long it was for, but I remember that being one of the brushes that I was like, that's stupid, because that brush is so small. Clearly it's not doing anything. Why would someone need this like tiny little pencil brush in their collection? So when I would be watching tutorials and trying to recreate them, and people would pull out their pencil brush, I would pull out like the Sigma E40, which is a very large blending brush, or even like the Sigma E25, which is another one that's so good. Like, it's so weird for me not to mention the Sigma E40 or the E25, but I was really trying to narrow it down. But I would also really recommend those. But that's what I was doing for my lower lash line, and sometimes it just gets to be too much. Like, I like a good smoky lower lash line, but sometimes you just want something a little bit more precise. The pencil brush, the pencil brush, the pencil brush, the pencil brush. Please, if you don't have one, get a pencil brush. Because once I got one, I was like, oh, this is why everyone uses a pencil brush in their tutorials. I get it. So the Sigma E30 is a great one. The next smallest one that I have is from Wayne Goss. This is actually the only Wayne Goss brush that I own and that I have tried, but it's the pencil brush, the 05. This is so nice. This came in one of my lucky bags, I'm pretty sure it was, and I mean, I'll be honest, like I still have that feeling of like I wasn't all that excited because it's a pencil brush, and I still like have those feelings of, really, a pencil brush? Like, it's not a bronzer brush? That would be so exciting. But it's actually a really fantastic pencil brush. It's so soft. It just, the way it blends out and like buffs out shadow on your lash line is like, just feels like you're blending it with a cloud. It's sneaky good, this one from Wayne Goss. And then an even tinier one. This is the 23 from Rephr brushes. I remember one time talking to the team at Rephr, and they asked me what some of my favorite brushes were, and I was like, the 23. I was like, okay, that's so random. Like, that's so random, Samantha. But this is a very small blending brush. So again, you have like your larger one, the one in the middle, and then we have our really tiny Rephr brush. But again, this can be really good for the crease work once again, or if you want something really close to your lash line, this is gonna be great for that. I did wanna include a liner brush. Again, not something that I really use a ton myself, but if you are someone who's really into using liner brushes, you can even use this for like an eyebrow brush. If you use maybe like a pomade for your brows. Did I say eyebrows or did I say eye brush? For your brows, the Sigma Small Angle E65. So I know a lot of people still love the E06 from Sigma. That was like the wing liner brush of, I don't know, 2017, let's say. Everyone was using that E06. I have been like slightly dabbling into wings like this past week. I'm not really sure what's gotten into me this week. I don't know what's going on. But this is actually the brush that I like to go for because the E06 is so tiny. I like that this one has a little bit of oomph to it because in a weird way, I almost feel like I have more control. Like I feel like I can get more done with this size, and it's just so nice to be able to like shoo, draw a wing, you know? And then you can flip it over so like the top part of the angle side is facing like up up, and then you can whoosh, and just go down and make your wing. Did you get that? Was that technical terms? I hope so, but this is a really nice one. Again, you could use it for a brow brush, whatever it is that you want, but I did want to mention a liner brush also. And then after that, those are my top 20 brushes of 2020. Technically 21 brushes that I think that you need in your collection to just have a fantastic makeup brush collection. Because I wish I only had 21 brushes in my collection, but they're all like my babies. I love my makeup brushes. All right, I hope that you found this one helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know some of your favorite brushes or some of your favorite brush brands. I know that there's so many brands out there that I haven't tried their brushes yet, and I would love to, but again, these, like all of the brands that I mentioned in here, I just think they have some amazing quality brushes. You can check my description box for all of the links if you're interested in trying any of these out. Other than that though, if you enjoyed this one, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I hope you also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.